I'm Kent, and this is a Weekend Adventure Rides how-to. In today's video, we're going to go over how to upgrade your motorcycle seat with a gel insert. In order to do this, you're going to need to pick up a gel insert. This is a 3/4 inch, and I'd suggest that size, not very much smaller if you're going to do this install. And then you're going to need 1/2 inch foam to go over the top of the gel. You can't put your leather back on the seat with just being on top of the gel. It doesn't work very well. So this will cover it up, make it look solid across the seat. And then in order to do this, you're going to need some spray glue. This is just a tacky spray, but you can use whichever one works for you that you can find.
As far as tools for this install, you're going to need a tape measure, some large needle nose pliers, small needle nose pliers, an X-Acto knife or utility knife, a small flathead screwdriver, scissors, a Sharpie, and then some 1.5 inch painter's tape. The last tool that you'll need is a pneumatic stapler or a very strong hand stapler. Fortunately, I was able to borrow one from a family member. It's not pictured here, but you'll see it later on in the video. It's a pneumatic stapler. Now that we've decided which tools we need, let's go grab the bike, bring it over, and let's get started on this project.
All right, to get started, obviously we're going to remove the seat from the motorcycle, and then using a flathead screwdriver and a pair of needle nose pliers, you're going to remove the staples from the inside edge of the motorcycle seat. Keep in mind when you're doing this that you will not want to remove all of the staples under the seat, but just enough to expose the area in which you're going to be working. Now that this area has been exposed, you're going to use your 1.5 inch painter's tape, taping off every bit of the seat area. You're going to want to do about 50% overlap when doing this and ensure that everything is flat and contoured correctly. Now coming back with the tape again, you're going to do a second layer. This should be perpendicular to the first layer, locking in that tape so that we can use it as a pattern for the gel once we have this cut out. Alright, everything is contoured and fitting correctly. We're going to use a Sharpie and a tape measure. We're going to measure out 1 inch from the edge of the seat. The reason you're doing this is that the gel will want to lay flat when you're sitting on it, and you don't want to lose any integrity in the seat. So keeping this 1 inch will ensure that the seat doesn't fall apart when you're sitting on it. Now using an X-Acto knife, we're going to cut out along the marked edge. You're going to want to ensure that you do not discard this portion. Now that we have that removed, use the same X-Acto knife. You're going to cut in crisscross pattern or checkered pattern along the seat, and also ensuring that this is perpendicular to the contours of the seat. This ensures a proper fit of the gel later on. Now removing each section with a pair of needle nose pliers, a small portion at a time, as you do not want to remove all of the foam from this area. Now going through and doing this to each section, remember that our gel seat is only 3/4 inch, so that is approximately how much we're going to want to remove from each area. Now we've gotten to a point where it looks like we have the appropriate amount of foam removed from the inside of the seat. We're going to go back over with a small pair of needle nose pliers and try to even out all of the high spots in the seat. Now using our cutout taped pattern, we're going to apply that to the gel. Sometimes it's easier to leave the outside coating on, as the gel can be pretty sticky. We're going to use an X-Acto knife to cut out the top edge of the gel, and then a pair of scissors to do the final cut. When you're doing this, make sure you're using the pattern to ensure that the gel is cut out correctly in order to fit the cutout portion of the seat. Now apply the gel to the inside portion of the seat and test fit it. In this case, we need to remove a little bit more. That's okay, because removing too much, it makes it a little more difficult to build back up. You want the edges to fit perfectly, but the inside portion of the seat to sit up a little bit higher. In our case, we had to go through a second time and ensure that the gel seat was fitting appropriately. We're going to use some tacky spray to spray the inside portion of the seat Now that we have the gel insert fitting the seat appropriately, we're going to remove the tape. We're going to spray the whole portion of the seat and then apply the 1/2 inch foam over the top of this. And using a pair of scissors, you're going to cut out along the outside edge of the seat. When you're doing this, make sure that you're cutting along an area in the seat where there is a seam. This ensures that you won't be able to see a seam right where the foam is once we have the seat cover back on. So take your time when you're doing this. You can't add more foam in, but it's easy to take some off. So go through the scissors, make sure everything's fitting appropriately. If you have to come back through again and spray it, in our case we go through several times and use the tacky foam spray to ensure that it's fitting and that it's adhered to the original seat foam. Now that you have all of your final cuts done, you're going to reapply the seat cover. Now using a pneumatic stapler or a strong hand stapler, reapply the staples to the inside edge of the seat. Sometimes it's helpful to have a second set of hands when doing this, and also ensuring that the seat cover is pulled tight and that there are no ripples or edges on the seat. Now that you have this completed, you have finished your gel seat install and done so at home for less than $50. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Weekend Adventure Rides How To. Follow us on Instagram at Weekend Adventure Rides. Like and subscribe to this channel for ongoing how-tos, ride reviews, as well as adventure motorcycling gear reviews.